In today's video, we're going to learn everything that you need to know to get started, to get educated in the blockchain. Okay, so you've probably heard that blockchain is a very disruptive technology. For example, if you're in the real estate industry, as a real estate agent, the blockchain could literally wipe your job off of the face of the planet. I'm gonna get into why exactly a little bit later in this video, but for right now, we're gonna jump into the Bitcoin blockchain because it is the first and the oldest of blockchains. In the most basic way to describe blockchain, it is a simple ledger. It is a list of all transactions made in the peer-to-peer Bitcoin network. Now, most of you know what a peer-to-peer network is, but for those that don't, a peer-to-peer network, instead of having a central location and that central location beaming out information over the internet to individual computers, it is all the individual computers tied together so they're all communicating with each other and sharing information between them. The main example I can give to you of this is when you download pirated music over the internet. That's called the BitTorrent network. And instead of one computer or one server having all of these digital media files, all the computers on the network have these digital media files, and they seed just a little bit of each one. So you're pulling a little percentage from one computer, another percentage from another computer, until you've compiled the entire file. And that way it's decentralized, meaning that it's not one central location giving out the information. It is all the computers working together to bring the information into one. So the blockchain is a ledger. Each block is tied together and linked. Each block is pretty much consistent of all transactions made on the Bitcoin network within a 10-minute time frame. Now, every transaction made on the Bitcoin peer-to-peer network has a transaction ID called a hash. Each hash is generated for each transaction, and all of those hashes are grouped together in 10-minute blocks. Every 10 minutes or so, all the transactions made are grouped together, and that group of hashes are sent out as an equation or an algorithm to be solved by the computers on the network, called miners. These miners, or what they're also known as nodes, are groups of CPUs and GPUs tied together to work at the one task of solving this equation. Basically, the reason this equation needs to be solved is because it's the process of verifying all the transactions to make sure that they were legitimate. Now, I'm gonna get into mining for Bitcoins in depth in another video, but this basically describes what I'm talking about. So again, all the transactions, all the hashes in 10 minutes are grouped together. That information gets sent out to all the nodes as an equation to get solved. Once a node believes it has solved the equation, that signal gets sent out to the rest of the nodes to verify that that information is correct. And once 51% of the nodes agree, yes, you've solved that equation for that 10-minute block, that one 10-minute block gets locked into the blockchain, and as a reward, the node that actually solved that equation gets 12.5 Bitcoins. That's why mining is so popular, because 12.5 Bitcoins in today's market is $112,000. Now, could you imagine if your computers were strong enough to solve every single block? You'd make $112,000 every 10 minutes. So the nodes solve the equation, that equation gets verified by the rest of the nodes, and that block gets tied into the previous blocks. The way that this happens is that each block has an identification number. That identification number comprises of a few different things, but basically it ties a reference number to the previous block to lock it into place. So this block has a reference to this block, has a reference to this block, and this block has a reference to this block, like a sequencing order to let you know which block is from which location. This is what makes it so secure. So the blockchain, this ledger, is available for anyone to read at any time. But if somebody tried to alter one of the blocks in the blockchain, it would actually change the ID number of that block, which would make it no longer match the previous block and the block in front of it. So to change one block, you'd have to change every single subsequent block and the one before it simultaneously before the next 10-minute block gets set in. And this change also needs to be verified by all the nodes on the network, which is why the blockchain is such a reliable ledger, because everybody knows that the information is locked in and cannot be altered. It's like when your kid draws on the wall in permanent marker. It's really difficult to get rid of it. It's not impossible, but it's really, really, really difficult. What I mean by that is For a block to be changed, all the nodes have to agree. And if it's like not a malicious change to the block, just like a factual change, then yes, all the nodes will agree, but they will not let malicious hackers get into the blockchain and alter things. It doesn't work that way. The blockchain is basically a simple tool to record any and all transactions. Now, we're only talking about the Bitcoin blockchain right now, but there can be a blockchain for real estate. There can be a blockchain for making car transactions. So when you sell your vehicle, the title of your vehicle and the person receiving it and the person selling it, that whole contract can be tied into a blockchain set as a permanent record in the ledger that you transacted with this person to give them this car. Now, I want to emphasize this a little bit. These blocks are public record. Anybody can access all of the blockchain. The only information that it doesn't show is the person who sent it and the person who received it. It only shows the number associated with that person. It's their digital signature. So if you think about all the blocks that happened going back all the way to the beginning to the first block, they all have reference numbers to the previous block, locking them all into place. But the first one is the only one that's different. This one is called the Genesis block. It doesn't have a reference number to the previous block because there wasn't one. It simply was the first block in existence in the Bitcoin blockchain. So I want to talk a little bit about the future of the blockchain. I feel like this technology can be used in so many ways. It would remove the need for a notary, like a public notary when you need to get something notarized. This blockchain would be a record of that transaction being made. In its most basic form, it is a method of trust. People trust the blockchain because they know it can't be altered. So people put information into the blockchain knowing that it's going to be there forever. This can be used in many different applications. Imagine if you were a songwriter, not known, not famous, and you wrote a song. And you put the fact that you, a person, wrote this song with the lyrics of the song, and you put it into the blockchain. And then 5 years down the line, somebody found your song and decided to copy it, and they were famous, and that song, went crazy viral, got millions upon millions of views, and that person made a ton of money on it. You could show through the blockchain that you were the actual creator of that song because that block was timestamped with your ID number, with your name, with the lyrics, and you could prove that that song was yours. Over the next few years, we're gonna see a lot of people using the blockchain. They're gonna have their own blockchains. There's gonna be a blockchain for every single industry, and it's just gonna be a safe and reliable and honest way to keep a ledger of all transactions made, because that's what the blockchain is. It's simply a ledger to record history. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you got some value out of it. Please like the Facebook page, subscribe to us on YouTube. We're gonna be putting out more informational videos like this one. We also make videos every single morning with the price of cryptocurrencies and what the market's doing. So if you're interested in anything cryptocurrency-wise, please consider subscribing, and we will see you in the next video.